You guys ready for this? You better buckle up.
Oh no, don't put too much pressure.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I
love
like
my
pressure.
shoes. These are from the spa. So comfy. It's just so nice to be comfortable in your own skin.
It's
at
nice
any
to
age.
see you
I
so
just feel like-
comfortable.
yeah, I feel good. I think this really is the best time of my life.
You're definitely giving that energy. It's inspiring. So I've had the pleasure of spending some time with you and getting to know you, and vice versa. And we had this opportunity at this summit, and everyone was wondering who we wanted to bring, and you were really the only name that we could think of. So I'm so grateful to you for joining us. And I know you've not been to a beauty summit. You were like, what is a beauty summit? So this is the beauty industry. These are the most influential folks within brand and conglomerates and retail, and so we're happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So over the past few days, we've talked about the Crown Act, women, life, freedom. Women all around the world, people of all backgrounds, are fighting for agency, for their voice, to be heard. And I'm wondering, as I started to think about this conversation with you, you said something in your book that kind of shook me out of my skin. You said, I've never fought to be heard or hard. And it made me think about myself. My whole life I've been fighting to be heard, and I've thought that I needed to be hard to be heard. But you have chosen a very feminine and soft approach to your agency. Will you talk to us about how you came to that? Because most women are believing we have to fight to get what's ours, but you're doing it Pam's way. Tell us about it.
Yeah, my way. Well, I've kind of been through a lot, like I think everybody has, and I learned over time, I wanted to take control. I wanted to be in charge of my own sexuality, my own sensuality. I didn't want other people to be in charge of that for me. And even though maybe some of my choices I made in my career, those were to overcome just this, tragic kind of shyness I had, a lot of insecurity. And I just think the journey has taught me not to be, I always think if you push, there's pushback. And I know there has to be, strong activism and activists and people that really feel strongly about things. But I find when you're soft and, I don't know, I just have found a way to kind of be this kind of gentle, kind of romantic, kind of philanthropist that just kind of works with my everyday decisions. And that's how I've kind of come along with it. I mean, I say that when it comes to beauty, I pretty much grew up at the Playboy Mansion. So, I was surrounded by every kind of beautiful woman you could think of, every hair color, every makeup style, every poise, their voices, their laughter, how they affected men, how men responded, and I just watched. And I wanted to be sexy too. I found that was powerful and interesting, and of course I never thought that I would, grow up and, be here in front of you guys. But I thought, it just fascinated me. So I'm such a romantic. I just kind of get swept up in things, and I see the romance in everything, pain and suffering and hard decisions, and that's what a romantic life is, being engaged in the world and just getting in there and, getting dirty, getting happy, I don't know, that's just kind of been my way, and I've had so much fun doing it, even through the hard times. I just think it's, life is great, and even the difficult times give you perspective. So when you are having a joyful experience, you know what to, you know what a bad time is too. So I always try and get people to realize that there's something great around the corner all the time. And I've kind of always just lived like that.
Well, I think that's a great way to live and stay positive, right? I think the beauty industry is desperately looking for inspiration and staying positive right now. I think we're trying to figure out who we are. We just went through an internet boom and D2C brands, and we're wanting to be more diverse and inclusive. Where are you in your journey to beauty? Because when we talked about you coming here, you were like, I don't really, do I do stuff in beauty? You were, and it was shocking to me because you have been, for women over decades, you have been an iconic influence to them in the category of beauty. And so for you, where are you in your own beauty journey?
I mean, for 30 years ago, I was just completely annoying because people would come to me and ask me to do projects with them, and I would say, well, is it cruelty-free? Have you tested on animals? Is it too much plastic? Is it too much waste? You know, why isn't it made in America? I mean, I was going on, and they were just like, you're not supposed to have an opinion. You're not supposed to be asking all these questions. You're too difficult, you know. And I always prided myself, well, like my kids now, they laugh, and now they actually think I'm very smart and cool. But, you know, at the time, they didn't want to hear that from me. People didn't want to hear that from me. I mean, I was getting the calls. Like, one of the first experiences I had with a very, very big makeup company was to come to the Beverly Hills Hotel to show my portfolio. And I remember I only had like a little satchel of Playboy Polaroids that I'd made a collage of on one page, and it was really ridiculous. But I remember walking in and then seeing someone sitting on a bed smoking a cigar and saying, you know, come here, little girl, show me your portfolio. And I was like, this is not an audition. And I just turned and ran out the door and locked myself in the car. And I thought, you know, and I realized I have some part in this, maybe. I mean, I don't want to say that because that could come off wrong. But as a playmate, as being in Playboy, people had the wrong idea. And I just felt like, you know, I'm just going to have to turn this around somehow. I'm going to have to share some of this superficial attention with something more meaningful. And that's when I got into animal rights and started sharing the attention and being much more careful of where I was going and what I was doing. I just kind of realized that it was going to take some time, and so that was how that all started. But I think that now, I mean, there's been different opportunities that came along. Like, it was great. I got to work with MAC and did a Viva Glam campaign, and instead of, you know, I got to promote, you know, AIDS awareness and get tested and try and remove the stigma. So I really loved that campaign. I really loved working with MAC, to have some kind of meaning and some kind of sensitivity behind beauty, because that's what beauty is. Really, we're all trying to make ourselves beautiful so we are respected, admired, loved, and so these products have to come from a loving place. So that kind of is the secret ingredient, is having heart, going right back to where you're sourcing things and how you're packaging things and how you're promoting things, and being inclusive and loving. And if you're using those kind of products, it's just kind of this energy, you know, it's just the secret ingredient, I think. So that's why I'm really happy to be here and be able to share my thoughts on that.
So let's take a walk down memory lane. Back then, you wanted clean beauty. You wanted packaging made out of sustainable, you know, the other night you were mentioning you wanted people to be making packaging out of, can you talk a little bit about what you had wanted at the time that you felt like wasn't on the market?
Well, I remember meeting with a company, and I just remember them having so much plastic. I just thought plastic shampoo bottles, plastic pet beauty products, and they wanted to talk to me.
This is when? This is?
20 years ago.
Right.
And so I was saying, oh, can't we make bottles out of corn or glass? And they're like, we're not making bottles out of corn. Like, you know, that's just freaking nuts. Just shut up. You're like, shut up, you know, little girl. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, geez, I'm sorry. Well, I just have to pass. And they're like, what are you talking about? We want to give you all this money. And I said, well, there's not enough money. I mean, it's not about money. It can't be about money. I cannot contribute to cruelty, or I'm not going to sleep with someone to get a job. I'm not going to, you know, these are my little things my little rules I had. You know, sorry, I know, but you know, at least I had those.
Well, you have integrity.
I had integrity. I still do. But I was really considered as annoying, but the word spread though that I just wasn't that type of girl. That's good, and that I was a pain in the ass. That I wanted, you know, I really, really believed in. We got to find a better way.
So
there's just plastic bottles everywhere. I was like, I can't do it.
You had a vision of a world that was sustainable,
yes,
and animal cruelty-free,
yes,
and clean.
Yes.
And you had a vision where what you felt had validity in the world.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we're with you for that.
Okay.
Right?
But now it's in fashion. It's so exciting,
yes,
because now compassion is in fashion.
That's right.
And, you know, it's so exciting. Like, I walk around and I see more vegans out there. We talk about things, because before everyone thought I was cuckoo. I mean, I'm a little cuckoo. But, I mean, I just think that it's just so nice to see it. And so now I just feel I have so much more pride when I buy a product or when I promote a product. It's a relief, because it's so necessary, and I just believe in it, and you know, so it's kind of fun.
For someone who is so articulate and self-possessed, I mean, you are an incredible writer. She wrote her own book, no ghostwriter. I went through the whole entire thing last week, and we've been exchanging notes leading up to this. And I've worked with a lot of amazingly talented people, but you're an amazing writer. Why do you think it is that you were so portrayed as someone that was not smart, that didn't know what they wanted, why were you so objectified? What do you think was happening at that time that's not happening now, or what's changed?
Well, I've always written every day of my life. I write my journal, and I write to you, like 6 pages of notes for this.
It.
I was like writing these long, intuitive writing things, and I thought maybe I'll put it on, cue cards or this, and it just would have bored you guys to death. But I was writing, I've always written, and that's how I know how I feel. I've always had a good sense of self, and I kind of knew this Hollywood game was a little bit, superficial, and people didn't really know me, and that's what my kids were so frustrated with. They're like, Mom, nobody knows you. They think they know you, and so we need to do this documentary. We want you to write your book. And so at their encouragement and realizing it's good for them, they want their mom to be understood and heard and all those things that I didn't care about, because I just thought, where do I start? Where do I start? This cartoon character took off without me, and it may not be me, but it's just a very small part of me. And so I think even after the documentary and after the book, people do come up to me and they say, I like you now. Like, you're so likable.
You are very likable.
Like this, and they're like, I'm like, well, what did you think of me before? Oh, you don't want to know.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought, well, okay, well, I always, when I meet people, I think it's hard to judge somebody in a meeting or this, it's hard to judge somebody. Everyone has a story, and it's just, there's so much misdirected anger out there, I think, has a lot of unresolved childhood issues and all that stuff. So I think that, it was very therapeutic for me. I really needed to tell my story. It was life or death. I really felt so strongly about it, and it's just, the weight of the world is off my shoulders, and it's just, I feel light, I feel free, and it's a really good, it's a great time for me, but I encourage it. It's just, gotta tell your story.
You can feel it. The energy is just flowing all around you. There's been a lot of discussions around the new opportunities within beauty and wellness, aging, sexual wellness, mental wellness. Where do you think there's an opportunity within the market that, for the most part, women in the past were written off, I would say, maybe call it 30s, and you are seeing that our life expectancy is getting longer and longer. We're learning how to take care of ourselves, and frankly, women are beautiful throughout the entirety of their lives. So where do you see the opportunity in that? Because I know that you're really passionate about aging and aging your way. Talk to us a little bit about what that means.
I just want to let the young be young. I like my age. I actually really enjoy it. It just feels good. And I think that I'm not chasing youth is kind of, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So I just like embracing our age, embracing looking as good as we can, but also being realistic and just, I don't know, I just feel like there's the gimmicks. I'm not a big gimmick person. I just think that this is a whole, and I really do think that, beauty is not just skin deep, and that to focus on, the heart and soul and, I always say your eyes, I know that I love all these things, I do, right, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or your eyes are the mirror to your soul. All those great expressions are expressions for a reason because they're true. And that's what I think, that just it's just about taking care of yourself, inside and out.
We've been talking a little bit about wabi-sabi.
Yeah, I said wabi-sabi, my son taught me that because they just did their house wabi-sabi, which I don't know much about, but I thought wabi-sabi beauty, just celebrating imperfections and imperfect prettiness.
Yes. And
different looking people, and there's beauty in everybody, and to celebrate those differences and to not be so hard on ourselves. I mean, I don't, maybe not no lines, maybe just some lines. Just soften the lines. But, I'm not going to get rid of the lines, unless I'm retouched or edited. I just think that's hard right now because there's so much editing and Instagram and all those things, the social media, where people have kind of forgotten what we look like. And then you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't look like that. I look like on Instagram.
Well, let's double click on that, because you on some level, like, you were the original viral girl. Like, you were the original internet 1.0 before there was social platforms. What do you think of social in this moment, and what role it plays in beauty? I mean, you mentioned you don't keep.
I can't have the app on my phone.
Right.
I'd be looking at it, so I don't have any apps on my phone like that. And I don't really carry my phone. I just feel it was such a relief. I took 6 months off social technology. I didn't have a cell phone and my computer or anything for 6 months. It was the best thing I ever did. I know, you look horrified.
No, I'm actually inspired by it. I actually think it's healthy. I'm excited to, like, break up with my phone and my apps. No, I
like a
really,
holiday from
they bring me no joy. They're just like, they bring me no joy. I'm like, this is just a work thing that I have to do, but I don't find joy in it. When you talk about your 15,000 square foot garden, I'm like, that sounds amazing.
I've gone crazy in the garden. I have a little garden that grew. Now it was 5,000 square feet, which was huge, and half of it was roses. And now I've extended it to like 15,000 square feet. So basically what I'm going to do for the rest of my life is sell vegetables and make flower arrangements. I can't wait to get home. I'm making these little crowns of flowers. I'm like really like I'm into my pottery, making bread, so much fun. It's so much fun. So,
I think that all of us on some level are trying to find our way back to self. That is, for sure, pandemic for me was that, and you've mentioned the same, baking and gardening. How do you think, in terms of the practice of how you take care of yourself, in terms of your beauty regimens and the things that you prioritize, and you've shared some lovely things that you care about, would you mind speaking to some of the regimens you care about and the Ayurvedic interest? And
well, I make my little rose oils, and I love Ayurvedic medicine. I actually took a course in Ayurvedic medicine. I don't know what I was doing, but
you took a course.
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
because I wanted to understand. I loved the philosophy behind it, because the oldest medicine, and my grandfather was kind of a mystic and a healer, and taught me to talk to trees, and I could get a little crazy here, but we talked a lot about mythology and fairy tales, and that's how he was my guiding light, and he always gave me these things of how to have the self. You have you have a inner alarm system, basically, when things get a bit too crazy, to bring you back to self. And he taught me those kind of things. And so as far crazy as I've gotten in my life, and I've had some pretty wild times, I always knew how to get back to myself and what to do, and to get into nature and get my feet in the water. Mostly it was like put my feet in the ocean, sit under a tree, just get into nature. And it's just, I bought the property for my grandmother 30 years ago that I'm on now, and so all the trees there have known me since birth, and I can't get away with anything there. And I just feel like it's a real homecoming, because we do have that child inside of us too. That, for instance, when I did Broadway, I just put a little picture of me at 5 years old on my dressing room mirror, and I said, I'm just going to get out of the way. This is her opportunity to do this. And those are the kind of things that my grandfather taught me. So the little things like that. And just being in nature. Get my rain boots on, my garden clogs, my garden gloves, big straw hat.
Sun.
It's the best. It's a dream. It's great. It's just, and when it comes to beauty products and things that I love like balms and oils and dry brushing and saunas and outdoor showers and and using soaps and cleansers and things like that don't harm the earth, that can drain, that can wash off you and go water your garden. So I think it's fun to kind of put a little more effort into thinking about everything we do and where it goes and how it affects everything around us.
One of the things I've always admired about you is your ability to move past shame. And I think that's something that this room has discussed a lot over the past few days, is this experience of shame. And you've done it, I don't know what it's felt for you internally, but on the outside, for someone like me, I've always looked at you as someone that has just moved past it. What is your regimen of moving through those moments of shame, given that society really puts it on you and your own internal voice puts it on you? What is your routine moving through shame?
Well, we always say G&D, grace and dignity. No matter what, you hold your head high and you walk out and everybody's gone through things that are difficult, you know, if it's humiliating or if it's embarrassing, all these different things. But we're all just people, and it's sad when people isolate and get scared and trying to hide from things. But I feel like then you just have to, you know, shake it off and go out there and be the best person you can be. And it was hard. There's things that have happened. There's things in my life. Obviously, my sex life was all over the news at one point, and it was really hard. I was 7 months pregnant with Dylan. I had to get over it for him, and I had to just, you know, it had an effect on my relationship. Things fall apart, but you just have to keep going. I was really into flower essences and like essential oils and, you know, massage and just everything just to get it out. You know, it was really important, and it was like emotional toxicity. It's just you have to find ways. But I really loved all that very old school stuff.
Well, I wish we could talk for hours, and I have so appreciated your kindness and generosity. It's created a real kinship. Just in one word or a few sentences, what is, for you, what do you want this room to know about you? What would you like this beauty industry to know about Pam?
Oh, boy. Oh, gosh. I don't know. I feel like I just feel this wild journey has brought me here for a reason. And so I hope that I've been able to inspire anybody to, you know, think about things. I don't know. I'm not like a doctor. I'm not a model. I'm just this imperfect girl from start to finish who wants to do her part and be a good person in the world and share my story.
We so appreciate you. So inspired by all the good things you've done in the world.
Thank you.